chargebacks, returns, and lowball offers too. Zero takedowns, they're a pain. What can we do? High selling fees, bad buys and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flipping Ain't Easy. As you guys know, we're not having the live today, but you're here watching me while I do my work. One of the new formats that we've been using with our videos, but feel free to chat as we do this, and of course if you're watching after the fact, comment down below. But there's really only a couple questions that I had for a eBay account rep. And if you've been watching the videos I put out this week, you guys know that my opinion is that the true experts at eBay are not YouTubers. I am not an expert. There are no YouTubers that are experts at eBay. And while there are many YouTubers with a lot of experience and good information, if you understand how, working in the trenches with directly with resellers, and especially like account reps, how they work directly with sellers that have questions, that have maybe they develop strategies for these sellers, and it requires a lot of product knowledge, eBay knowledge. Maybe they don't have the hands-on knowledge, and I don't even know if eBay reps even are allowed to sell anymore on the platform. I don't know, but you think that they may have so much knowledge that they may just decide, you know what, I think we want to maybe utilize that knowledge and make a little money on the side. But I wish that most serious sellers actually had access to an account rep, but I don't, and I don't have a way to contact or ask them questions. I'm trying to adjust my hat here. So I do know somebody who does have access to an account rep. They're not watching this channel, they just happen to know me as a reseller, and I picked their brain with a couple questions. Now actually I did have like 3 questions, but I think that the correspondence back and forth only yielded me here answers to a couple questions. Before I begin, I want to say thank you to, I guess Pitco might have been first. Brenda was up there, I'm sure. You got Mike Camparelli jumped in to say how he's having a great sales week. I'm not even reading the comments because how can I? This is a premiere. Want to thank each and every one of you guys. Want to thank all the members too. We actually do have a little bit different setup with the members, where members get early access to videos. Like this last weekend I put out a video that I didn't even release until Tuesday, so you guys had a couple days on the crowd. I thought that some of the content we put out this week was pretty darn solid. I feel like, and I want to know what you guys think about this, but the format that I've been doing here for the last couple weeks, out here working in the garage, digging through this mess, all the while I kind of feel like I can just flow instead of feeling robotic and all that. I kind of feel like I can get out here and just talk to you guys while I'm working. It may not seem like I'm working, and actually a lot of times I'm quite distracted because it's very difficult to think in terms of what you want to say and how you want to say it, but at the same time you're trying to focus on not cutting yourself or getting the right photos and stuff together. So that's what I'm doing. Old tools. A lot of the stuff that you see me doing, I won't come out here and do the videos while I'm working on the main account, because that's kind of straightforward. I'm really just getting that work done so I can focus on that. This secondary account, we're going to try to build it. We are building it, but my focus is still on the main account. You guys know, you guys saw that had some really solid sales this last week. This last weekend, we cleared over $2,200 in sales. Of course, that's a $1,300 day we had on Friday. I count Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as the days that we include in those numbers. So solid. And guys, I'm just doubling down and doing more of what works. And I think that's a key. I mean, it doesn't matter what I sit up here and say. Like I just got through telling you, I'm not no expert. I'm becoming an expert in what I do, but rarely does that match up with what anyone else is doing. So I want to get to it. Let's get to at least the first question, and kind of ponder that. I want your thoughts and all that in the comments. So the first question that I asked was, when something negative happens with your account, example, negative feedback, returns, item not received cases, etc., but you're still considered top rated, is there a temporary effect with your item's visibility? Are there any opposite effects? Like if you, and what I meant in that question, any opposite effects if you have good things happen within your account, positive feedbacks, just all the good things that we ask, eBay asks us to do. The reply that I received was, negative feedback can affect search results, but even top eBay businesses don't have flawless feedback. Like seller activity, consistent negative feedback can compound its impact on search visibility. Prioritize high quality listings and reliable buyer service to maintain strong performance. So it's almost to me like eBay is saying, look, you're going to get negatives once in a while, right? And what they're looking for, or at least baked in the cake, and we call the algorithm, what it's looking for is a pattern of excessive negative feedback. Because one person might, one-off might say, I had a bad experience, and eBay is going to give you the benefit of the doubt and not allow it to affect your listings, while a string of 3 or 4 is like, okay, there's something wrong. And it's very much like someone telling you something that seems a bit off about somebody. So let's say you know somebody and someone tells you something a little bit off about that person, and you're like, you know what, maybe they just don't get along with that person. But then you hear the same thing or negative things from different people about that same person, and you start to think, okay, well, maybe something's up with this person that I don't know. Maybe they haven't revealed their true selves to us yet. So, maybe I'll kind of stand back a little bit and, see, what happens with this person. Maybe you try to get to know them a little bit better before you confide in them or whatever. And I think, well, it's somewhat of an not quite the same, because we're talking about business here. eBay has measures in place where they are very, very careful about putting a strange person who's selling their items in front of other strange people and hoping that it's a positive interaction. And the only thing that eBay knows about you are your habits. So have you been a good seller on the platform? Maybe you've been with the platform for eBay for 20 years, but recently you've run into a bad spot. I could tell you that I'm a different seller now than I was 15 years ago. And different kinds of items, different opportunities, different things going on in my life. And maybe you as a seller, you have a good track record with eBay, but maybe you just ran into a tough spot where you can't fulfill orders the way you used to, and you get negative feedback. So I can see how eBay would implement something like that, to where if you get enough negatives, boom, 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 or maybe even returns, because returns are going to happen, right? These are all negative things that happen to your account, and it could cause a throttling effect. There's been people that have said, look, I got some negatives, or I got some returns, and it totally killed my sales. You hear it all the time. Now, we just roll our eyes and say, okay, it's just your imagination. You just tinfoil hat in it. I get accused of that a lot. But as a business person, you have to look at trends. You have to look at how things affect your account. And you have to draw conclusions from that. I think it would be irresponsible for any business person to see what's going on to them. Like, oh, you know, my sales are great. I got these 3 returns back to back to back, because they usually happen in threes, right? And as a result of that, I'm not getting any sales anymore. What's going on? And it's not crazy, in my opinion, to think that things that happen to you could cause other things. It's cause and effect. Cause and effect. So I want to know what you guys think about that in the comments, in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. You know, is it crazy speak to think that eBay wants to protect their buyers? You know, there's different things that eBay has in place. Now, does that mean that you have a run of bad, you know, like a bunch of negatives, or, you know, you have a bunch of returns? Is eBay going to hold that over your head indefinitely? No. I mean, they're still going to give you opportunities to make a sale. Your items are still going to show up in the algorithm, but it may affect your account health, is what I'm saying. Based on that remark, you know, you might be top rated and they still consider you top rated, but again, eBay is comparing you to your competition and saying, okay, Joe Blow account here, top rated, had some returns lately. This guy is very similar, but they haven't had returns lately. Let's give them a little bit of a push because they've been performing at a little bit higher level lately. And then, you know, is that going to push you down to page 2 or 3? No, I don't think it's going to be that big of an impact. But when eBay's trying to figure out the order of things, remember, when a buyer looks into searching for your item, eBay ranks every listing. What are they using to rank your listing? I have a perfectly good whatever they're looking for. It matches their search. But there's a reason why you're not appearing, you know, in the top 20, even though you have the perfect item. And a lot of it could be tied into account health or recent activity on your account. So let me know what you think down below on that. Do me a favor, guys. If you like the content, if you enjoy the fact that we decided to do something like a feature video so that you guys could get together and kind of just hang out, do me a favor, hit the like button, and of course, I mean, if you're here every week, you probably already have subscribed. Consider being a member of the channel. You know, we do have I think last video we did, we had less than 20 people come in and hang out with us on the live, the members only live. And I'd like to think that we're learning. All of us are learning in some way about different things. And I want it to be just more than getting in there and critiquing other stores. And, you know, while that's a big component of it, I want to use that time to really look in, learn, and maybe take your suggestions on some things you want to kind of do a deep dive on. You know, we spent an hour and a half or so just going over stuff, and it's a lot more in depth than our lives normally are. You know, where there's a lot of just hanging out in the lives here, but these members only lives get kind of into the meat and potatoes of things that you don't really see on YouTube at all. But the reason why we don't open those lives up for everyone is because we do kind of encourage others to participate by showing their stores and maybe at some point showing their stats and, you know, their numbers and stuff. And I think that people feel more comfortable in a smaller setting of viewers than having it open to thousands of people, you know, and it's like, that's not comfortable. You know, I think most of you guys sign up to be viewers of YouTube, not to be out there being that was weird, out there being you know, content creators. You just start up your own channel if you wanted to talk about your store. So that's kind of one thing that we do, and I'm open to suggestions if you guys have any suggestions. And of course, we put out videos Even we made that video about our trip. If you guys want to see what we, how we are when we're traveling and stuff, and the experience we had when we went back east. This is like 2 months ago. Let's see, 3 months ago going on, but still somewhat relevant as far as I'm concerned. So let me know what you guys think down below on the membership side. Want to thank the viewers that are very, very consistent and been huge supporters of the channel. I'm not going to mention any names. You know who you are, and I am very, very thankful for each and every one of you for being supportive of the channel, doing all the things, the super chats when we don't really, this is not something we go and we're panhandling or anything like that, but you guys give away the memberships, and it's like just really cool, and it gives people a chance to check out the other side of the channel who might not have thought about being a member. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Now the next question is, and there's really only 2 questions, but we're gonna roll this for a while. I'm gonna be working, talking to you guys, but wanted to get through this content here. The second question that I asked: how does eBay determine if an item is pushed out to non-eBay search results like Google Shopping or Facebook Marketplace without using offsite ads? Does it get any exposure at all if not using offsite ads? So the response that we got says, including unique product identifiers such as UPCs, brands, MPNs, that's manufacturer part numbers, along with completing as many item specifics as possible, maximizes your listings, visibility on search engines like Google Shopping. While eBay submits all eligible listings to these platforms, the ranking criteria ultimately determine top results. Adhering to best practices for listing optimization is another effective way to ensure your listings rank highly in search results. So nowhere in there does it say that you must be enrolled in offsite ads. Now, for those of you who don't know, eBay's offsite ads program is a program where it's like a pay-per-click, and you pay additional money. It's like promoted listings. It's an offshoot of promoted listings, where you're paying to push your items over to Google search is probably the most prominent one, but you have Marketplace and any other places that eBay signs up for to promote their items. Well, you have more exposure when you're paying. And it used to be that eBay would just flat out pay. These things aren't free. And I know there's a number of people that say, well, hey, here's another ripoff. Here's eBay squeezing us again, making us pay for something that they used to pay for. But, in all fairness, I do know that, when Temu came in, and don't get on me in the comments for saying it wrong. Temu, whatever. They were really pushing up the prices, paying top dollar to push their listings on Google search. I do know that for a while. I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but this is like right about the time that eBay started this offsite ads program, and I think that had a lot to do with it. But of course, eBay looks for ways to make money for their shareholders, and they probably figured, why are we paying for this when we can just make a program and make other people pay for it? If they want that exposure off eBay, then good on them. But that's not to say, and nowhere in that response did it say, you really have to be a part of that program to get exposure. You can still get exposure on Google Shopping, but you have to follow the best practices. And now, while it's not required, Google does recommend, and they have always recommended, that you have clear white backgrounds with no noise. No AI backgrounds, no watermarks or anything crazy in your photos. They want a professional looking photo, and the most professional looking photos have a white clear background, and usually that's you got to have a hell of a lighting situation to get it to where it looks like you have a clear white background. And I've seen some good photos pull that off. But if you don't have that, and you want to give your items a better chance to get visibility on those other sites organically without going through offsite ads, then you really got to start maybe using a white background removal tool. And eBay's, I'm sorry eBay, but your tool that you have for the free doesn't always cut it. The reason why it doesn't cut it is I've used it just to try it out, and on a number of occasions it was just fine. But on a few other occasions, like 25% of the time, you're finding like it's whiting out the things that it's supposed to accept something in the background in your photo it didn't get, and there's no tool to go in there and edit that out, right, to wipe it out. So it's just weird to me. And you know, this is not a complaint, it's just an observation. It's just weird to me that eBay has, they could corner the market on all these things that we're looking at. You know, why is Photo Room so popular? You know, it's the only tool that I used for background removal. They don't sponsor this channel. I'm not selling them, but I'm just telling you what I do. Why is it that eBay hasn't cornered the market on these tools? And when I say cornered the market, really, you know, they see the other tools, they see Photo Room, they see how, I'm sure that someone at eBay has probably used the tool, and even if they incorporated half of the things, because there's some things, it's like, look, if you're making a birthday card on Photo Room, it doesn't translate over to eBay. eBay can just take the relevant tools that work for eBay and hire a team of developers to make their background removal tool software like that. Why haven't they done that? You know, then you look at AI. It is now what, 21 minutes into the show, and I'm now talking about AI, guys. But if you look at AI, why does it take, you know, upstart programs, third-party programs to launch their AI listers when eBay for the last year and a half has at least put one out for us to use, but it don't work very good? Why is that? You know, I'm sure eBay knows that AI has developed quite a bit in the last year and a half. Is it that they have maybe a budget and they're not going to go over that budget, and it costs much more than they're willing to spend? But they should be cornering the market on AI listing programs because it's already integrated into their site. Maybe it's the site that's holding them back. Maybe they need to have a third-party listing program on their own that plugs right directly into their own APIs, just like everyone else is doing. Of course, they're not paying like everyone else is paying for API access because it's their own website. That's a question I have for you. Why hasn't eBay developed these tools? Why does it take a third party to develop these tools? Doesn't make a bit of sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe they're looking at it as an opportunity to make money off of these third-party tools, and they figure, well, we can still get people who don't care, maybe people who are just selling baseball cards or trading cards and things of that nature that we've optimized our AI lister for. Because if you look at the video they put out about a year and a half ago, that video is really, you know, there's like a Justin Jefferson wide receiver football card, and it looks sharp, it looks smooth, it looks great. You guys have seen me play that video a couple times on this channel, and it looks great. But when you get in there and you start using the tool, it's like eBay is using, like 2 years ago, Google Lens, which was okay, but it didn't do that great of a job, and half the time it ain't identifying what the hell you're trying to sell. And that's a problem. And I just don't get it. It's just the observation that I'm making. Of course, you know, you guys can take it as a complaint if you want, but we are paying all this money in fees, and eBay is trying to convince you every day to pay more in fees. Every time you list, it's trying to tell you, oh, 40%. If you promote it 12% instead of 8%, you're going to get 40% more views on your item. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't even know if eBay knows that's true. I guess they just pull a number out of their ass and say, okay, let's just convince people to up their promoted listing percentages. And while you do get more views inherently through the way it's designed, I feel like there's got to be something more that we're getting out of it than just the hope of getting more views on our items. So maybe eBay, how about say, we're going to take this extra money that is being infused in the site. And I know you guys don't like spending money because you have to worry about your shareholders and all that, but give us some good tools to work with here. Don't make me pay, what is it? One of these that they want you to pay for 50 listings, or is it? No, they want you to pay 100 listings. They want you to pay 50 cents a listing, just for the tool to AI tool to list your item. And then if you want to have the option of removing your backgrounds, well, that's another 50 cents. So by the time it's all said and done, you just paid $1 to someone other than eBay. This is money that eBay could be making. So they could say, look, maybe, and I'm not trying to give eBay ideas. I'm not trying to give eBay any ideas to take more money from us. The way I look at it is, it should be all baked into the cake, free, part of what we're paying. But it's not. The way I look at it is, eBay should find some kind of a model, and maybe if it's an extra 2 cents per listing, and I say 2 to 3 cents per listing because maybe that's too cheap. 5 cents per listing. And the reason why I say that is because it does cost any company, when they're reaching out to like ChatGPT or whatever third-party AI service, it does cost. It's not a free thing. It may seem free if you're using the free ones, but like I just paid $30 for Super Grok. Now, I've some things I want to go down a rabbit hole and try to create that software I was telling you guys about, my own AI VA, AI virtual assistant. And that's like a fun project. We'll see if that ever gets off the ground, and I'll let you guys know if it does. But why do I have to, with AI growing so much, why does anyone have to go to a third-party tool to do these things, to utilize these cool tools and cool features that eBay has known about for the longest time? They've known about background removal. They've known about AI listers. They have their own. And why they aren't able, put the comments down below. Maybe Basket Noodles here, maybe he'll be able to tell us in plain English why eBay has not been able to figure it out. It isn't like they're not trying or they haven't tried, but it almost feels like they've just done a half-assed attempt. That's what it feels like, a half-assed attempt. And that's me being nice. A half-assed attempt when they have had the opportunity to make the other ones look silly. Look, they're a tech company. They're considered a tech company, but yet their tech is subpar. How many people are here selling because the tech is so great and impressive? I have no issues with the website. The way it looks, I'm cool with the way it looks. I'm used to the way it looks. They could stop tinkering with that, I guess. But for an AI, for a technology company, you would think that eBay would have better technology. Does that make sense? So put your comments on that down below. And look, guys, I'm just talking to you. I'm not complaining about nothing. Or there's going to be a troll somewhere in the comments saying, oh, look at John, he's complaining again. No, I ain't complaining again. I'm just simply observing and wondering out loud. And who knows, maybe it's going to be one of those questions that I take to eBay Open here in the next couple weeks and say, look, guys, if you guys would have stepped up, I'm going to get kicked out. I don't want to get kicked out, but that's why I'm talking to you guys. Maybe it's not a question I'm going to ask, but, it's like you guys are a tech company. Why are third-party companies stepping up when you guys aren't? Why? Just why? It's a fair question, right? I think most sellers would rather have all these features baked in to the eBay software than having to go in and get a lister. Then you have to go in and get a cross lister if you want a cross list. Then if you want decent accounting software, you have to go to My Reseller Genie. Use the link down below. Save your first month. Why is it that I spent on the main account and Jenna spent hours on the secondary account typing in, we're both using the My Reseller Genie software. Why doesn't eBay give us a place to put our cost on each item? That just blows my mind. Why do we not have the ability to put the cost of what we bought our item for? And I'm not talking about the SKU. That's where I currently put it. But I'm talking about a functional field where software like My Reseller Genie can then go in and pull it, because they can pull, My Reseller Genie pulls the shipping that you paid, your eBay fees, everything. But when I run my report, it's like, missing one thing. We don't know how much you paid. And that's not at all My Reseller Genie's problem or any other program's problem. It's they don't know. There's no place on eBay where you as a seller can input the cost of your item, and that would be optional. I know there's some people are like, look, John, I don't want eBay to know how much I pay for my stuff. That's fair, but there's some that don't care. I'm one that I don't care. I don't care. I get out here and I tell you guys what I do. I'm not hiding anything. And really, if you drill down to it, on a per seller basis, eBay don't give a rat's what you're buying your items for. I promise you that. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you have going on. If you fall off of eBay tomorrow, they're going to replace you with somebody else. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you're sharing data with them. So this idea that somehow we don't want to share any information. Someone had said, well, I don't want to share my information at all online. I got news for you guys. With all these data breaches that have happened over the last couple years, there's not many people who can say they haven't been a victim of some kind of a data breach. The people who want your information, they got your information. They have it. So I ain't hiding from nobody. I don't care if Roomba maps out my house, and okay, now you have a layout of my house. Okay, China, what are you going to do with it? I don't think it's that big of a deal. There's some people that think it's that big of a deal. Why? Now I understand the whole idea of, you've never been through, having your data stolen and having to recover it and fixing your credit. But I think that's more 20 years ago mentality. I really do. Yeah, people could steal your credit. People could steal your social security number. It's easier than ever. But I think that telling eBay what you spent on an item isn't going to cause that to happen. Still be responsible. Don't give out your social security numbers and things of that nature. Man, we're getting down rabbit holes and tangents, huh? We're 33 minutes in. Hopefully you guys have hit the like button. And by doing so, we push that positive energy out there so you get a sale within the next 24 hours. I don't know how it works. There's other channels that try to replicate that positive juju and put that vibe out there to get you guys the sale. But we're the only ones that have people consistently saying, wow, I'm only here for the hitting the like button. If it didn't work, people wouldn't do that. I'm just telling you, it works. So yeah, I'm out here. I'm just taking photos of things. Like I have these. Here's a kind of a cool tip. I don't have the screws for them, but you don't need them. I think a lot of these screws are universal anyway. I'm not quite sure what TV model this is for, but chances are it's one of the ones we have right now in the house hanging up on the wall. So that's the starting point. But if you are like us and you put your TVs up on the wall and you don't use the little stands that come with your TVs, the little mounting kits that come with or the stand kits that come with your TV, well, someone needs them, and they don't want to put their TV up on the wall. Maybe they lost them. Maybe they got their TV, bought it used, and it didn't have these, and they would prefer to put this on like on a nightstand or something, or a dresser. Well, these will sell for a good 15 to 20 bucks. So think of it as a rebate, and this depends on the model of the TV. So we're selling. I had these sitting around in my cable bin, and I'm like, you know what? Let us list these and get them the heck out of here. What am I sitting on these for? I'm never going to put my TVs up on a nightstand or something like that. So let's get them out of here. Boom, get them out of here. So how have your sales been? Are you guys getting kind of relieved that we're getting into August? In that, you know, back to school, maybe clothing sellers, you're getting a little bit more volume because of it. We're starting to get beyond the back to school stuff. To me, the back to school stuff never really impacted me. It's the back to reselling mentality that people have that have really messed me up. What do you mean, John? Well, it's people there's a number of sellers that are like, look, summer slowdown, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to spend time, you know, with my family, my friends, and maybe I'll dabble a little bit in eBay. But you know what? I'm going to go on vacation a couple times, and therefore I'm not going to really mess with reselling. But when I get back, and when the kids get back to school, I'm going to start buying again. And so what I see many, many times is that people will start jumping in, buying liquidation, and so my deals they go away. So I don't, 2 years now of really focusing in on liquidation on this main account and really learning about what works and what doesn't. You start to see trends, and I start to see that it's a little more difficult, which means that there's more people you're fighting against. It's the supply and demand. It's the whole idea that, you can't think of, oh, I can get this item for $10 because I got it for $10 all year long, but now Q4 comes. Q4 is a notorious time for when people start to ramp up their buying until they can't find any, like merchandise just is hard to find. And that was a big problem that I had the last 2 years. We have a storage unit full of stuff, which is great, but my big problem is I still don't want to rely on that storage unit stuff. It's nice. It's a nice to have situation, but I still want to source the stuff that we had a $1,400, actually $2,300 weekend last weekend, and I don't want that to go away. That all that sourcing, or most of that sourcing, was my A option. Going to the storage unit and picking what I've already bought. It's okay stuff, but it's like my B option, if I'm being honest with you. So we'll see how that works out. So I think we have a good solid another month of August. I think that should be a solid month, and then things are gonna kind of get sketchy for me, and I've got to stay ahead of the curve, which means continue to buy. I know that's tough, because maybe that's why people don't buy so much in the summer, because their sales are slow and they don't have the money to buy. They got to use the little bit of money they're making on their bills and stuff. So want to know what you guys think about that. Put that in the chat. By now we'd be reading your comments, but of course you guys know that ain't happening. So feel free, because I won't mistake this time, because I can't read them, your sidebar comments. So have a great time, talk to each other, ask each other how they're doing. Wonder if Pitco and his buddy, and forgive me for not remembering his name just off the top of my head, The Crazy's Life, I think. You guys went on a little trip to the coast. That was kind of cool. But I wonder if Keith has had a chance to meet up with Paul Rose. I was talking about that in the video this week about networking and how it's so important to reselling, and things like these lives, or these opportunities where we can all get together as a community and just shoot the shit with each other for an hour. Well, why does it have to be limited to, you know, Flippin' Ain't Easy lives? Why can't we, you know, after about 10 to 20 sessions of like, this guy's a pretty good dude, or this gal's pretty cool, you know, I'm gonna give them my phone number. Now, I don't know if you should do that on the chat. What I'm saying is, you know, maybe join the Discord. You know, we talk about it. There's a link down below. Join the Discord and get on there. These are legs for a who knows what, but you could tell these are kind of beat up. So guess where they're going? El Trash Acano, because I ain't messing with them. But go join the Discord, and then you guys are both in the Discord. You can send them a DM, a direct message, and say, hey, look, here's my phone number, or here's my email address. Hit me up. Let's go to the yard sales. You're in my area, or maybe not. Maybe I'll, you know, if I'm in that area, I'll come and visit you. Networking is absolutely, probably, to me, the coolest thing about reselling. And I'm glad that I started the channel. I hope you guys are glad for it. But I'm glad I started the channel. It's been over 5 years now. Now, the idea at the time wasn't about networking. I wasn't out to like, oh, let's, you know, let's see, you know, how many people we can meet. You know, I didn't even think the channel was going to take off, to be honest with you. I didn't see my channel, and I don't even think it's taken off yet. I mean, you guys are too nice to me. I'm sure you guys are going to be in the comments saying, well, yeah, it has, but it hasn't. You know, I feel like this channel can do so much better than it has. And it's sort of the same mentality that people have. They look at their stores on eBay and they're like, yeah, I really feel like my sales should be better. But it boils down to one thing, and I have to take ownership of that. It's, you know, what have I done to make it a better channel? So tinkering with things, making different types of content, making more content. Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe that's what you guys want to see. I mean, I say you guys, but it's really not you guys. You guys are here. It's the people who know who Flippin' Ain't Easy is and still just say, no thank you. When they see my video, it's like, no thank you. Why is that? I don't know. I don't think I'm a bad person. At least I don't hope people see me. Maybe it's resting ass face they see. I don't know, but I'd like to think my channel should be a little bit better than it currently is. I'm thinking like 30,000-40,000 by now after over 5 years. And I like to think that we've put out good value. The content that we've put out has been helpful to people. People have said to me, hey man, it's your content's great. But I really do think I've upset a lot of people in telling people that they themselves, and this is true, guys, you as a seller are 100% responsible for the direction of your eBay business. Now, you may not like, and there may be an impact on how eBay interfaces with you and your account or the items you're selling. But if you take a deep dive into what the hell's going on with your business, if you're not getting sales, it could be that you just aren't selling. It's what you're selling. I know I get a lot of flack for that. But I got to tell you, what sold 5 years ago ain't selling right now. But that may not be it. It could be your account health. It could be a lot of things. And what I've noticed in 2025, and really even years before that, people have a hard time taking ownership of things that maybe they have more control over. So because they don't have a whole lot of control over it, at least they want to push the control over to a party who doesn't care. eBay doesn't care if you succeed as a business. They don't care about your business. They're going to make money with or without you. So, you know, eBay gets the blame. Now, I'm not saying they're blameless. eBay's got a lot of problems. They got a lot of problems with their website. I just got through telling you, and forgive me, I'm over here getting my my quilted pillows. But I just got through telling you all the opportunities that I see eBay just blowing. They got a lot of problems. But we're all on the same playing field. Now, I'm saying if you're selling items that aren't selling well for anyone, why are you selling those items? That's all I've been trying to say. But people get pissed at me. I shouldn't have done it this way. People get mad at me because I have an opinion. And I'm very opinionated. Oh, here goes John again. And I just think I get an unfair rap because of my opinions. And that might be why my channel's just kind of blah. But you know what? If you have an answer to that, I'd love to know. Love to know your thoughts down below. And really, I'm just on autopilot doing this right now. Doing my work. I'm not even sure how this is going to translate over. I'm just doing a batch of photos right now for the secondary account. I have the stereo that we got for $1. Actually, that's the other one. This one was like $5. And it was a return on the main account. We got it back and they said it didn't fit, but they sent it back and the housing had somewhat like some kind of an issue with it. So you know what, we're gonna discount this thing and we're gonna sell it. We'll make these go for about $80 without any issues, plus shipping. Sometimes the free shipping listings will sell for $100 and something. I'll sell this for a good $30-40. Someone who wants a CarPlay stereo for their automobile. And I got to figure out what the hell this thing is anyway, but I think I have the old label. This is a return that we received back in February that I'm just now getting to. I decided to earmark it for the second store. So a lot of times we get the items that we just maybe didn't go well. Maybe they said, hey, there's a problem with this thing. Okay, so we'll note the problem. Of course, they'll send it back. We'll get the money back to the buyer. And we'll note the problem, and then we'll list it on the second account at a discounted price, stating the problem, just so we can kind of liquidate. That second store has been more of a liquidation type store, and it works out. I would recommend, and I've been saying this, but it's like, yeah, who wants to have to manage a second store? But I would look at it as an outlet store. You see outlet stores of these big brands all the time. Like we were in Charlotte, they had an outlet, just like they have a couple outlets here in Vegas. And it's a lot of the same stuff that's being sold at those stores, but maybe it's a slower moving things. And I really do think that as sellers on this platform, we got to start paying attention to things that maybe we never thought of paying attention to before, like our conversion rates. Our conversion rates, I think it's an important part of our success, and it's the higher the conversion rate for what we're selling, the more success you're going to have on the platform. Now that's kind of controversial, but if you have things that are slow moving, that have been sitting in your store for months on end, and I have some on the main, and this is a process we've started a couple months ago where we started putting a little asterisk in the SKU every time we do an end item sell similar. Every time that 30 days rolls around, I go in, do the end item sell similar, add an asterisk. Well, we're into items where we actually have 2 asterisks now, and I'm starting to think, okay, you got 2 strikes item. Okay, so strike 1, end item sell similar. Strike 2, that's another 30 days, end item sell similar. Strike 3, now we got to really, and all the while I'm lowering prices and stuff when I'm changing things. But now we really got to decide, is this item worth keeping on the main store, or is it something that's going to the outlet store or secondary clearance store? And that's what the plan is. That's what the plan is. Start putting those undesirable, and you know what's weird about it is I have items that are very similar, like the stereos. We get a lot of those stereos, those aftermarket stereos, and I'll get stereos and I'll list them, and they'll go like that, boom, sold. And other models, very similar, same features. They all have Bluetooth. They all have a backup camera. They all have GPS and all that. All of them have that stuff. They're CarPlay. They all have CarPlay and Android Auto or whatever that is, so that you can link up your phone with it. Designed for older vehicles, like 10 to 15-year-old vehicles that maybe don't have the CarPlay or Apple Auto or backup camera. It's the aftermarket stereos. But I noticed that some make and model vehicles just don't sell well, and they sit, and all the while I'm lowering prices. I'm into those items for like $10 to $15 a piece, and selling them, well, anywhere between $70 and $100 plus shipping. But some just don't sell. They're just sitting there. So what do I keep? Do I go down to $30 or $40, or do I take that item and then now push it over to my outlet store, my clearance store, and make that maybe put it on sale there, and just keep lowering it, and get rid of it. If it sits for 5 or 6 months, if I can get my initial investment in, which is $10 to $15 back after all the fees clear and everything, then you know what? It's not a loss. Maybe you can count the time I invested in that item to relist it, to list it initially, relist it, and mess with it, push it over to another store. But you know what? Sometimes we do take losses in business, and we learn. If we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, that's called insanity, and that's where you're really losing business. If you keep making mistakes, all businesses will make mistakes. And I think that's why, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, that's why a lot of businesses will seem to be reactive instead of proactive. And I've kind of talked about this before, but I've always wondered, why is it that, a trend will come and then some business will come out and say, oh, let's start adding that to our line like a year later. And that's like when the trend's starting to kind of go away by the time they really react to it. You wonder, why do businesses do that? Because I think that businesses do not want to take risks, and initially they see a trend and they don't want it to be a quick fad, so they don't adapt to it until it's established, that trend has established itself, and then they jump on the bandwagon. I think that's what it is. It's all about risk, But who am I? I'm just some guy who sells in my garage. But I always wondered why companies did that. Why it seems like, wow, this is the coolest, newest thing, and why hasn't this company done that? Maybe that's what eBay's looking at. Maybe they see AI and background removals as a fad. I don't know how they could see it that way. I mean, unless you're really short-sighted. Someone had told me, they countered my opinion on the Profit Playbook podcast. And by the way, if you're not watching the Profit Playbook podcast every Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're really serious about reselling, you should be over there watching it. We're getting close to 2,000 subs. Come over and help us if you haven't subscribed over there, and watch us. We drop a video every week, and we're very, very consistent about it. But on this last one, I was talking about AI. There was a big episode on AI as to why sellers shouldn't just dismiss AI. And the point I was making was, if you guys can kind of look back, think about the time when the internet first dropped. I remember it. I remember having a Packard Bell computer and trying to optimize it to it would play the latest game. Then those games weren't very good, but try to optimize it. And we didn't have access to the internet. And once you got access to the internet, it was like, okay, cool. All right, AOL, you've got mail. guys remember that one? So you now can communicate with people, and it wasn't like you can go to a website. It was like almost everything was through AOL. AOL would pop up like a little screen that would be your default screen, and some links to click on that would take you to another screen, like a miniature like network web page kind of thing. And if you wanted to venture out, you could go to what is called bulletin boards, and you could talk to people that way and post things. And it was really, really basic. And at the time, if you would have told me the internet is going to be the most important thing in the next 10 plus years than anything else, it's going to drive the world economy, it's going to drive everything that we do, I would have been like, yeah, that's probably a stretch. But guess what? It's right now the thing that drives the world economy is the internet. Without the internet shuts down tomorrow, we're all screwed. You couldn't have said that 30 years ago. We were able to manage 30 years ago without the internet. But today, no way. We are so dependent on the internet as a society that we're just screwed without it. I hate to say it. Now, fast forward to like 2007, when we're all using our flip phones, Motorola Razors, all those things. I had one. And here comes the first iPhone, and it was like a brick phone. I'm like, I don't even like the way this damn thing looks. I was resistant at first. I think I got the second iPhone because it started to kind of get popular. Like, wow, a lot of people like the Apple iPhones. Well, let's get one. You guys know the story. My daughter wanted an iPhone at the time. She's like, I want one. You got one. And I wasn't willing to pay whatever it was at the time. Because, at the time she was like 13 years old and she wants an iPhone. But of course, we thought it would be okay to have for the kids to have their own line. So you want an iPhone, you're not getting one, but I'll get you a Sky phone. Now don't laugh. A Sky phone is like this cheap Chinese knockoff. It looks just like the iPhone. The graphics were a little bit worse, and it came with a stylus. A stylus, of all things. And I mean, she wasn't happy, but she made it work. She used this damn thing. And her Sky phone. I don't know if you guys remember that. So it evolved into someone saying, look, I don't need a damn smartphone. My flip phone's just fine. I can take rudimentary pictures on some of those flip phones had a feature to take rudimentary pictures. I can send my texts. Hell, I remember in 2002 with my Nokia, it was like a brick. I think it was a brick, not a flip. And it was a monochrome screen, and I could go onto eBay.com, and I had a way to get to their search. And I could look up things. It was very crude. And I believe there's a link to the solds on there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a link to the solds. If you'd have told me that, dude, you're not going to be using flip phones or old phones like this in the next 15, 20 years. Everyone's going to have a smartphone. It's going to be a computer that you're walking around with in your pocket. I would have said, you're freaking nuts. That's not possible. Look at the size of computers. How are they going to put it on a phone? How are they going to put it on look how thin that is. This thing's more powerful than any computer that existed 10 years ago. You wouldn't have convinced me. But now you see everyone using a cell phone that's a smartphone. You don't see people walking around with unless there's some shady stuff going on and they need a burner phone. That's the only reason why people are buying these flip phones. So that's number 2. So when I made the point on the Profit Playbook podcast that AI as we know it may not seem like it, but it is going to be the next thing that is going to be so important to what we do, and the things it's going to do in the next 10 to 15 years is going to blow your mind. And if you have to go back and live without it, you're going to be like, how the hell did we ever live without that? And the pushback that I got was trying to say AI is like the internet is silly. It may seem silly now because we haven't seen what AI can do. But from every indication, look how fast AI is growing. AI is growing leaps and bounds. Like every month, it's something new. Give it 2 years and see what it's going to look like. And then tell me that it isn't the next best thing since the internet and the smartphone. I called it first. Well, probably not, but I'm the first reseller to call it that this is the next thing that is going to impact each and every one of our lives to the point it's scary, guys, how good this AI can be. And it could actually get too good. But what can you do? You can't fight it. I mean, you can resist it. I think it's if people are utilizing these AI technologies in their business and you're so against it, for whatever reason, you're just against it, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. I really do think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I'm not saying to go out and get this listing program and get that listing program. What I'm saying is be open to it. So look for opportunities. You know, if you find a program that utilizes these technologies that doesn't charge you, arm and a leg every month, maybe it's something to look into, because maybe it's going to make you a little bit more productive. Every business operator out there has to look at the advantages and the cost and the advantages. So like, okay, it's going to cost me this to do this, to use this tool, and is the cost worth the squeeze? What am I going to get out of that cost? And if that means you're spending money, a little bit of money out of pocket to free up more of your time, I can tell you, if you're a part-timer, time is a little bit more precious than it is to a full-timer. At least being there and doing that. Working 8 to 10 hours a day, coming home, working another 4 or 5 hours, doing everything manually, just sucks, guys, because you don't have time for family or friends. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to have technologies in place where you can work that regular full-time job, come home, only spend an hour and a half a day, and you're done, and you're just as productive as someone who's doing this, spending 5 hours a day? I think that's awesome. Now, I'm not advocating any program right now because, for a number of reasons. One, I can't, but stay tuned. Just stay tuned at this point. Now, I can tell you, TreeCat, they have item specifics where you can do cross-listing. We talked about that. Those of you guys who are utilizing just eBay, maybe you're missing out on other platforms like Mercari and Poshmark. And I'll tell you why real quick, why it's important. Regardless of what cross-listing tool, it's going to become more important to utilize cross-listing in your business, because as these AI listers start flooding the markets, and we haven't seen it yet, but just wait. As categories and markets get flooded, it's going to be harder and harder in some categories to sell the same items you're used to selling. And the answer to that is to put your items, keep selling on eBay, but to push your items over to other platforms, whether it be Mercari, Poshmark, Depop, in the UK, Vinted, if it's even an option. Get your items in front of people. I think it's better it's a math game. So if you have an item and there's 100 sellers on eBay selling that, and you only have 10 buyers for that item, well, all things being equal, you have like a 10% chance to get the sale. But if you have that same item over on Mercari and there's not 100 sellers of that item, there's only like 5, and there's not 10 buyers over there like on eBay, but there's like 2. Well, that gives you a better chance. You're one of 5 sellers selling that item for only 2 buyers. That's a 40% chance, all things being equal. Well, you see where I'm coming from. It gives your items more of an opportunity to be seen and possibly sold than just putting all your eggs in one basket. So check out TreeCat. They have AI item specifics. So if you're filling out your using their tool, they will auto-populate some of these AI results, and it's a cool feature. Now, they have a lot of things in the works, but they're only charging you as you go. You ain't paying no fee up front. You're only paying as you sell. Not as you go, but as you sell. If you sell nothing, you're paying nothing. But the idea is it's going to delist items that sell on other platforms, so you're not facing a problem where an item's sold twice. So that's my little snippet for TreeCat. at least for this video. Go check it out. Why not just try it? Check it out below. If you don't make any sales, you ain't paying nothing. So that's the cool thing about it. There's no risk at all unless you make money and then they make money. So I think by the time you guys get to this point in the video, I'm at my eye appointment right now. Now, this eye is the one giving me crazy redness like every morning for some reason. One of the viewers out there, I'll leave their name out of it because I don't know if they want me to give their name, but they gave me a tip. There's a thing that we bought. It's like these compresses that, you know, they're single-use compresses, and they're a safe cleaner. You clean your eyelids, and I guess you unclog the pores, or the, you know, when your eyes tear up, that's where it comes from. And so I might be dealing with some dry eye, and so we got that. So thank you for the tip on that. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. You know, I don't know what next week is going to look like with the videos, because being gone this weekend, I usually do the videos over the weekend, so that might be more of a challenge. But we're still going to keep rolling. We're going to still keep selling, and we're still going to try to find answers to the things that you guys want to know answers to. But figuring out all this random information that I went over in this live and putting it into play is yet another example of how sometimes flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to enjoy your weekend. Thank you all for the well wishes. I'm sure some of you guys have put some well wishes in the chat, and thank you guys for being here. If you made it this far through the video, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you guys here on Monday, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Shocks, backs, returns, and lowball offers too. Zero takedowns, they're a pain, what can we do? High selling fees, bad buys, and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them.